welcome to the Mortgage Broker Builder Show, the CEO 1440 show, where we talk about all things mortgage and maximizing the 1,440 minutes we're blessed with each and every day. Got a guest today that has been doing marketing all over the place. He brings you loans on demand. It's crazy. Name is Luke Shankula. I got that right. I said it right. And he's all over the internet. He's got 20,000+ people that follow him on LinkedIn. I've been seeing his stuff for years and feel pretty honored to have him here talking to us about different things that we can do marketing related to hopefully drive more business, make more money, and just live better lives. Luke, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Thank you so much for having me. This is going to be fun.
Oh, awesome. So the reason that I wanted to bring Luke here is, I'm always searching and looking and trying to find ways to help people inside of our community. And people kind of fall into a couple of different buckets, right? We've got some people that are maybe in the 1 to 3 closings a month. They're trying to figure out, how do I get 7, 8, up to 10 closings a month? And then we've got other people that are pretty consistent, constantly pushing into the double digits and looking for more. And Luke has a ton of clients that kind of fall into all of those buckets. And one of the biggest struggles I've seen people have consistently is generating lead flow. What works, what doesn't work. So we've got somebody here that's maybe cracked that secret code, has been doing this, has done it for a lot of other people. And a lot of the questions I get, Luke, just all the time is, what do you think about this guy? And what I've noticed today is my LinkedIn iMessages just filled up with people that are going to 10X my pipeline. I get a lot of 10Xers. Give me 3 to 5 loans per month, every single month with their AI automated thing, guaranteed, no money back. And they all, right, it just seems like the world's kind of full of a lot of bullshit out there. And you've been doing it long enough and have a good enough name. I'm like, well, if we're going to talk to somebody, let's actually talk to somebody that's real, that speaks English, that's from the United States. And so that's why you're here. And hopefully you can sprinkle a little bit of that magic, dust on our lead gen system. So that being said, can you just kind of walk us through, how'd you get here? How do you end up in the marketing space? I know you were an account executive before, but this isn't something you just started doing. So take us through time. How'd you get to be where you are today with that fancy credenza behind you with all the lights in it?
Oh, man. So appreciate that, man. So just like a quick, hopefully a quick background. So back in about 2012, I believe, is I got introduced to a company that did reverse mortgages, right? So someone that I knew that was in school with me at the time was like, yeah, we work for this company, but we are only working there during the summer. So like, hey, they're going to need some people. I'd been applying for jobs. I was working, whatever, at some sort of a job. Anyway, I remember I interviewed, got the job, and it's funny because when I put in my 2 weeks, the person, one of the people there, or one of the managers there, was like, oh, you're going to go screw old people, huh? I had no idea what a reverse mortgage was. I knew nothing about mortgages, right? And so I was like, what? Like I literally had never even heard of the word reverse mortgage before. So obviously come to find out that there is a pretty negative connotation around reverse mortgages. I'm a huge fan of those products, by the way. Like after working there for almost 4.5 years. So that's kind of like where my start into the mortgage industry started. I did everything from post-closing to processing intake. I was a broker coordinator, and then the last year and a half I was an AE for that company to obviously bring on brokers and help them do reverse mortgages, right? So funny enough, I had been talking to a couple of my buddies about starting a little mortgage brokerage because man, we're teaching these loan officers how to make all this money. Like we might as well go do some reverse mortgages ourselves. So the company ended up shutting down about 2017, January of 2017. And that's where kind of like my journey towards hey, let's go start a mortgage company. Got my license to become a loan officer, started a contract processing business. That didn't go very well. I closed 2 deals and I hated it. The contract processing. And then I got my license to become a loan officer. And in that time I was like, well, how do I generate leads, right? Like the ever, that question that everybody always has, like, how am I going to actually get consumers that want to buy a home? In this case, do reverse mortgage. So I started searching the internet. I found ClickFunnels and Russell Brunson and marketing and funnels and all that fun stuff, right? I was like, oh, this is really cool. And so I bought a Facebook ads course and I was learning how to run my own ads. And at the very end of that course, they're like, hey, maybe you could start an agency, right? They have one module on starting a marketing agency. And that's basically what I ended up doing. I was like, all right, you know what? Maybe I don't want to be a loan officer. Maybe I don't want to do all this other stuff, but this marketing stuff's pretty cool. And, that's kind of where it all started, right? I mean, and then over the next like, I guess now it's like 8 years, 7 years, whatever. I've done all kinds of cool things, generated hundreds of thousands of mortgage leads. I have spent several $1 million in ad spend for mortgage lead generation. And so I've learned a couple things over the years. I've learned what to do, what not to do. I've learned what it takes to convert them. I've learned just about everything that's required to know, right? So it's been a fun journey.
Yeah, that's interesting. I love hearing the stories of how people got into mortgage. Like nobody wakes up, there's no 7-year-old running around dreaming of becoming a mortgage person. Yet so many people end up, falling there because they needed a sales experience or whatever it is. Very few though land at a reverse company. All right, so like most of them start at some forward place. Reverse mortgages though, just for anybody out there, it is an awesome product. And I think it gets a bad rap because a lot of loan officers, when all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So right. Reverse mortgage, right? That's kind of a screwdriver, no pun intended for old people, but it's a fantastic product. So I don't want to knock it.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. It's for the right people. Just like a 30-year fixed probably isn't for everybody. It's for more people, but it's not for everybody. I mean, a 7-1 arm. There's a reason why there's a variety of products.
Yeah, and reverse mortgage, like I said, I think it's a fantastic product.
Yep.
For the right person, right? It doesn't fit everybody, but.
Right.
And then something else you said there, right? You get obsessed with these courses. I've kind of been on a journey myself too, where I've got books sitting over here, how to sell anything, and Russell Brunson, Alex Hormozy, like all that stuff. Cause
right.
I've been pulled into this world. I'm like, well, how am I going to figure it all out? Right. You can go out, buy courses, you can do some different things, but I heard something recently, and you hear the same renditions over and over, something about, smart people learn from other people's mistakes. Super smart people, it's not learn from their mistakes, but they look at the mistakes that others have made and they just don't do it again themselves. So you've made a lot of mistakes here inside of the marketing space. You said you spent millions of dollars on ads. Probably some of those you can look back and say that was the most boneheaded thing I ever did. Can you point out what was the dumbest thing you ever did? And was it with your money on ads or was it with someone else's?
I mean, I've done some pretty boneheaded things over the years in terms of ads. I mean, I think back to some of my very first ads and not actually knowing what I was doing. I remember running an ad that was literally like a dog meme. It was oh, you don't need 20% down to buy a house or something like that. But it was this dog, and I find it every once in a while. It'll show up on my feed because I post it. I posted it a couple years back, and not that was boneheaded or anything, but it was just it's funny to look back and see what I didn't know at the time and what I know now, and sort of the gap. And sometimes that's the best way to see how far you've come is to look back at where you started. I mean, I look back at some of the videos that I did early on. It's hi, my name is Luke, and I'm a reverse mortgage specialist, and that's how my videos sounded. I was trying to invite people to a reverse mortgage webinar. This is when I was still trying to moonlight as a loan officer. So in terms of the mistakes, I learned a lot over the years. I mean, I started out going with the cheapest possible leads. That didn't work very great. Our loan officers didn't love, they were like, hey, we want to work with quality people, right? Okay, so then I started generating long form leads, right? So, more information, higher intent, right? We're asking 12 to 15 questions. Pretty quickly, I realized that was great, but at the same time, they weren't super qualified because we were running down payment assistance. We were running first time home buyer, right? We're like, oh man, well, how do we find better quality people? So we started targeting other niches, heroes of the community, teachers, healthcare professionals, first responders, people that are more likely to have the down payment, the credit, the income to buy a home. In addition to that, we were running to those long forms. So now we're increasing that quality of prospect, right? So we did that. And then one of the most recent things that we've been doing is running webinars, right? And webinars has been an amazing way to sort of find a balance between the purely consumer direct model of hey, generate leads all the time, pound the phones, get someone on, get an application, and then also of a more of a referral style quality, right? It's hey, now we get 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 people in a room or a Zoom room, and we get to talk to them for an hour, give them value. Now these people that are booking appointments from those calls are so much warmer, so much higher intent. The sales prowess can come down a couple notches, right? I still do think it needs to be a little bit better than like a typical referral, but much, much higher intent, much warmer prospect that is booking those calls than someone that, let's say, clicked on an ad, filled out some information, and all of a sudden you're calling them. They're like, wait, I didn't know I was going to get a call, even though it clearly says they're going to get a call. Right. But hey, you know what? That's how consumers are, right?
Hey, if you're here, it's because you understand that the world is changing at an alarming rate, and you understand that big data is going to dominate as we move forward. Either you're going to use it to grow your market share, or somebody's going to use it against you to grow theirs. If you want to dig a little bit deeper here, take a look at your own business, figure out and identify some key constraints, maybe some things that you could do a little bit differently to grow a little faster. Here's what I can tell you. After 27 years of doing this, helping well over 1,000 loan officers earn hundreds of millions of dollars of commissions, there are a couple of key constraints inside of your business. I don't know what they are right now. I just know that they exist. So if you're curious about this, let's get on a strategy call. Take 20, 30 minutes. You will walk away with 1 or 2 actionable items that you can do more business as you move forward. There'll be a link someplace here on the page. I look forward to personally meeting you. Yeah, it's so the dog meme was the weirdest thing. What
Yeah.
I mean I'm as guilty as the next person. I've run ads and had no mechanism. Like I thought, right, the first time I did it, I just run them, they'd like show up in my CRM, but there was no drip campaign on the back end, nothing to right. It was just like the lead came there, and I was just, because I was really good, I was just going to sell them all. Well, lo and behold, did I realize that I wasn't going to sell any of them because I sucked at selling. I didn't have a good mechanism. I was more or less cold calling them with nothing to say, and I felt like an idiot. It's like, for me, some of my biggest mistakes are running ads and not actually being prepared, them working and not being prepared to actually convert the lead once it's there.
That's what I would say is like one of the biggest misconceptions about it. It's like people expect them to be referral quality, and anytime people are like, well, I don't want to have to call people, it's like, then you need to just work referrals, because if you don't want to have to do the work, like the reality of consumer direct model for the most part is you have to pound the phones. That's why I love this webinar model that we've rolled out over the last like 6 months, because you still have to call them, but it's a much less intensive lift when it comes to especially if they showed up, right? If they showed up to the webinar, those people are very, very warm. Whereas like someone that comes in as just a lead form, they are very much a cold lead. Now they've shown intent, they've shown that they're interested in something, they filled out a form, and when they fill out 12 to 15 pieces of information, they're that much better. But you still need to build trust, you still need to teach them, you still need to do these things. And so I agree. I think the biggest misconception people have is that they spend some money on leads and they're going to turn those into deals today. And the truth is that no one wakes up in the morning and buys a house, right? Like no one does that. Everybody who has bought a house in their life has gone through a 6 to 24 month, if not longer, period of time where they went from, oh, I should buy a house. Susie, there's a queue. Susie just bought a house at my office. Like, man, maybe like I can buy a house. Maybe I should start to do some research. Maybe I should look at Zillow or Redfin. But because most loan officers receive the lead from real estate agents, when they've gone through 95% of that process, they're like, no, my people close in 30 days. I'm like, yeah, your people close in 30 days because they've already made 95% of the decision before they get to you. Now, the downside to that is most people are commoditizing themselves out of business in the future. I think in this world where we have AI coming, where we have the Rocket Mortgages of the world acquiring people, that we have the Zillows of the world, creating the sort of like the streamlined approach where they have every single model that you need. They have the direct to consumer, they have the realtor, they have like everything. Like, what's going to differentiate you from everybody else? You have to figure something out, right? So I do think there's a huge opportunity for the right loan officers to differentiate themselves. I don't think that AI is going to replace loan officers. I don't think that any of these, sort of mega conglomerates like the Rockets or the Zillows are going to replace the average local loan officer. But I do think that there will be a consolidation, and loan officers will have to become better. And even, I'm sure John, like when 15, 20 years ago, you just had to be a good loan officer. Now you have to be a social media person, an influencer, like how many other things? You got to learn AI, you got to learn email marketing, and like there's like 17 jobs that you have to do as a loan officer, where I was like, at some point it was just like, hey, just take the apps and go, right?
Yeah, I look at and I've got some things out there that I've put online about, the next thing that Rocket's going to be doing is buying daycares, right? So they can bring people in their funnel earlier, right? Like I enroll them at age 5 and I start indoctrinating them about what color they want their room painted. And I can then, hit them in a drip campaign 22 years later that you wanted a pink bedroom with a fire truck going out the window. We've got the perfect home for you here, and you can get it with our Redfin agent doing this and that. And with AI, it can remember every conversation. It never misses anything, is extremely patient. It'll wait 30 years to convert. So, it was a joke, but it was a joke that's maybe not that far off, right? Like,
it's not that far off. No, it isn't. You're 100% right.
They got Rocket Money, right? You start hitting kids the day they graduate from college for a free app for Rocket Money. You start your budgeting, financing, and the next thing you know, so it's just way higher up in the funnel that they're engaging with people. And if you don't have something there to compete with that, you're going to get boxed out. I like to equate it to this is, when I was growing up, you had like Budweiser, Bud Light, and there were the big things, and everybody else had to compete with those like 4 or 5 beer makers. Well, now you've got all these craft beers that have found a way to compete, but they didn't compete by, taste great and less filling. They had to go out and do their own thing. And I look at Zillow and it's like Coke and Pepsi. Rocket's Pepsi, right. Zillow's Coke. If you want to get in the beverage space, you just have to assume that they're going to be there around every corner. And if you're going to try and compete with Rocket, they're not going to miss a phone call. That phone call that was scheduled for 8 minutes after you hit submit, do you know what? They probably hit on that 97% of the time. So you're not going to out process them. You better have some other things that are unique to you. Like we do something, and I know you've run some webinars for people that have, or help people run webinars with FinLocker apps. Everybody inside of our coaching community, that are in there, that are, doing anything that's paid, even at the lowest levels, we give them a FinLocker app, our own co-branded one, teach them how to use it. What do you say? How do you engage with agents? How do you set yourself apart? But that's something where I can go in and differentiate myself. And I think that the loan officer moving forward, if you're not thinking about your value prop in 2027 today, like today, it's not your closings next month that you're working on today. It's your closings for second half of 2026. And I think people don't look that far out. And that's why their lives are so miserable, is that they don't know where their next deal's coming from, let alone the deal in June.
Well, yeah. I mean, and most people look at these things in 90-day windows, right? Like, well, if they're not ready to buy in the next 90 days, they're a tire kicker. It's like, what? Like, think about this. Like, realtors a lot of times are working with clients, and this is not every loan officer, by the way. If you're listening to this, you're like, hey, that's not me. Like, cool. But the truth is, I've worked with thousands of loan officers and talked to thousands of loan officers over the last 6, 7, 8 years, and almost every single person, even high-producing loan officers, do not have a good nurture system for the most part, right? They have a good realtor nurture system a lot of times, which is great. I mean, I'm all for having a realtor nurture system, but a nurture system for a consumer is very, very different. I mean, people do not wake up in the morning and buy a house. There's a 6 to 24 months, if not longer, period where these people are buying, that are thinking about buying a house. And if you capture them early, like the Zillows, like the like Realtor.com, like any of these are Redfins, like they capture them so early in the process, and then they turn them into deals. Like that's why they win. I mean, people are like, oh yeah, like I'm the lowest rate. It's like lowest rate, Rocket and Veterans United and those types of companies have proven that lowest rate is not the most important thing to the consumer. Now, that's what they think, right? Because they always ask, what's your rate? But the truth is, like, and let's be honest, even like the big retail lenders are typically much more expensive than a broker. But why do 80% of the top producers work for big retail banks? So interesting concept.
Well, I know there's been studies that said if you're the lowest rate, awesome. But if you're the second lowest rate, you no longer, second place is the first loser, to quote Ricky Bobby. And I love to quote Ricky Bobby. There's a lot of profound stuff there. Talladega Nights, shout out to one of the greatest movies ever. And so, yeah, you've got to have something. There's got to be a compelling reason for somebody to come and do business with you above and beyond that. And I'm coaching people today your goal is not to win the sale. upfront in that 6 to 24 month period, all you're trying to do, your whole objective is you want to be invited to the room when they're making a decision in 6 to 12 months. Right? You're not trying to I'm not trying to get you to fill out my apply now link. You're not ready for that. I'm trying to get you to continue to have conversations with me so I can be in the room in 12 months to send you my apply now link.
Well, and I love the way that Brian says it. He's a point of thought, right? Like, you want to be there at the point of thought. Because if you get there early, like, you get to be the one that nurtures them. You get to be the one that educates them. You get to be the one that does a webinar and invites them, and they show up to the webinar and they're like, oh, man, I can actually buy now. Let me go ahead and book a call with you. Or, hey, I just saw your emails for the last 6 or 12 months. Or I just saw your Facebook retargeting for the last 6 or 12 months. Or, hey, you know what? Like, I'm talking to a realtor, and he says he's been seeing your stuff all over the place, right? Like, you know, like, that's the power, I think, of getting in front of them super early. Is there's so much opportunity. And then also for loan officers, I mean, I think the thing that's the biggest thing that's missed with all of this is generating your own opportunities is the biggest form of leverage for loan officers to have with real estate agents. Because, like, the traditional model is, let's pay the real estate agents money. Let's be honest. I mean, we look at almost every single large company, and they buy the market. Pretty much every single person is buying the market, whether that be through MSAs, whether that be through desk rentals, whether that be through Zillow co-marketing spend. People buy the market because they don't understand how to actually generate their own business and give that to agents. And so, I mean, outside of like the Veterans United and Rocket Mortgages, and guess what? Rocket Mortgage and Veterans United all have realtor referral programs where they get their 25 to 45% back from the realtors because they're the ones that generated the lead. So that's another revenue source for them. Let's not talk about the compliance of all that stuff, right, because whatever. But yeah, I mean, that's the value that they bring, is whoever controls the lead is the one that's going to win. It's the reason why, in my opinion, why agents are wanting to have a piece of the pie. They're coming in, they're asking for 50 bips. Obviously, there's the compliant way to do that, but that's rolled out a lot since rates went up, right? A lot of these companies are doing, hey, you know, become a licensed loan officer and get your 50 bips. The RICO, whatever it's called, the real estate, real estate loan officer. And so I think the more that happens, the more it's going to be like, well, who's going to take that haircut? The loan officer? The consumer? Is the consumer going to pay more to have that extra 50 bips in there? Or is the loan officer going to make less? You commoditize yourself, all of a sudden you're not making all that much money, you know? So anyway, just my thoughts.
No, I think that they're very good conversations. I think it's things that people need to look at. And for too long, I think people have went with the ostrich approach. Is you just put your head in the sand and hope that it fixes itself. Right. Well, it's just not going to. Things continue to get easier, not harder. Maybe it's easier to generate and make a good living, but doing the process is easier. I can do the work of multiple people with AI and different things. So,
right. Yeah, AI is huge.
I just think if you're a loan officer and you're looking at your business and you want to still be in business in 2027, 2028, you've got to start today, in my opinion, doing a couple of things. And I talk about all the time, like a portable personal brand. Not that you want to bounce and leave companies, but the name on the back of the jersey needs to at least be as important as the name on the front, maybe more. And I think of some of the big influencers out there, you know, I see their business. I don't even know where they work. You know, I find out that they have 100,000 followers on their YouTube channel and they're the number one VA person in the country, and they happen to work at Guaranteed Rate. I didn't know that Guaranteed Rate was no place in there. That particular person, she can move wherever she wants and her business doesn't change. And I see more loan officers running their own CRMs, doing things with you, coming out of pocket to hire someone like you to create a business that moves all over. But the interesting thing, if I generate my own leads, I have my own CRM, I do all those things, what I get is a tremendous amount of leverage. Not just being able to 100%. Refer stuff to agents, but if I'm a one-man show that can move wherever, or let's say a team, and I do $500 million a year in mortgage, I bet I can reach out to a dozen CEOs that are out there and say, hey, I'm looking at moving shop. And I bet the guy from cross country is pretty happy to talk to me. I bet I reach out to somebody at Loan Depot, they'll talk to me. I go to Lower, they'll talk to me, right? I have a ton of options now because I invested the time to build the hard thing. And so I really think that loan officers need to start looking at their business as a CEO of a company of one and make decisions like a CEO. And you don't have leads. That's your fault. There's millions of leads.
Well, and that's the excuse that people always say is like, well, people don't come to the loan officer, right? Yeah, like people go to the real estate agent. Why do you think that is? What is a real estate agent taught as soon as they go through school or as soon as they get licensed? Go work your sphere of influence. What is a loan officer taught? Go talk to realtors. So why would a consumer go to the loan officer if the loan officer literally never markets to the consumer? Now, here's the thing. Like my whole pitch here is like loan officers like need to understand that it's not about running paid ads. It's not about buying leads. It's not about generating funnels. It's about creating a process, right? Maybe it is a funnel, but maybe it's your organic social media profile, right? Maybe it's, hey, I put up content on TikTok or Facebook or YouTube, or like it doesn't have to be a certain way. Like you get to decide what you want to do, but you need to have a way to generate your own opportunities. Like to me, that is it's a requirement. If you want to basically survive for the next 5-10 years. I do really believe with AI it's going to be a lot easier for people to finish. I think a lot of people want to work only A-paper buyers, and to be honest, those are the deals that are going to be the easiest to be closed by AI underwriting. I mean, maybe you're going to get paid 50 bips on a conventional A-paper 20% down loan. I don't know. I mean, I can't tell you that with certainty, but I can tell you that AI will make it very, very easy for that to happen.
Yeah, and it already happens. Right?
I mean, 100%. But
Rocket Mortgage, they have a whole lot of people doing it for, less than 50 bips. But base salary, slushy machines, tickets to things, Super Bowl ads, like private jets, you got it all. It's a different model. At the end of the day, I don't even knock the models. There are a lot of loan officers that working for some large retail person that does it all for you. You just want to sell? Awesome. There's independent brokers that do a great job and they run whole businesses. There is a ton of different ways to make money. You just have to be aware of, I think, where the business is going and then put yourself on a trajectory to get there, doing whatever it is, whatever path you choose, running it like a business. So all that being said, I think we're in agreement there that the market's changing. You better be pretty proactive on your own if you want to be relevant in a couple of years. What do you think? So what's the person that comes to you? I know you've worked with probably thousands of people at this point, running different ads, doing different things. What's like your typical person that's coming to you today? Someone new attends a webinar, they reach out via LinkedIn, Instagram, wherever you're getting your clients. What does your typical new client look like right now?
Obviously, things have changed over the last couple of years. It was interesting. I saw someone post their production numbers and that they were like 200 and something in the nation, and I was a little bit shocked to see that. A great production. I'm not saying but if you look in years past, that probably wouldn't have even been close to the 200 and something person in the country, right? And so like obviously the higher rates have made it so much harder for people to produce. And so it's been an interesting time. We find people that are in different buckets, right? People that are looking to, find ways to get back to agents, right? Like I think that's a big push, or people who are trying to eliminate agents. They're like, I don't want to work with agents anymore. My big push to those types of people is like, hey, you know what? Like the problem you have right now is that you're working with agents and you have no leverage. You have no power, and so that means you get to work with the good ones, and you also have to work with the bad ones because you have no other way of getting business. Now, once you figure out a way to create your own business, you get to control that. Now you get to fire that agent that sucks, that calls you at 9:00 on a Saturday night, and then it's like you get to own your power. We have a loan officer who basically spent a good portion of the last month, basically December and January, firing a bunch of people that were like not her ideal agent. clients. And she's like pumped up now because, you know, she has a team, and she's like, man, I realized that I was paying for services for these people that hadn't given me a deal, or had given me one deal in the last 24 months or 12 months. It's like, I'm wasting my time going after these people, hoping that they're going to give me business, when based off of the data, they're not giving me business. And me paying $50 a person for HomeBot or whatever the numbers are, I don't know what the actual fees are, like paying this extra service to have these people on these platforms was a waste of their time and money. And guess what? Their business is blown up because they decided to focus their energy on the right people. And so I think that's the power of that. And then let's go back to who you said, who is your people that come to you? Like, we have people all over the place. We have people that are newer that want to get into you know, generating their own leads. I typically will tell people, if it's been your first year, I would not recommend doing paid traffic. I do not recommend doing leads. I say, hey, go do the traditional stuff. Go pound the phone. Go do your sphere of influence. Go talk to as many people as you can. Do social media, stuff like that. I think with stuff like consumer direct, you need to have a 6-month runway, because that's about how long it takes to start to really get stuff up and going. So I typically am looking for people that are looking to take it to the next level, right? They're closing a few loans a month. They're looking to get to the next level, or maybe a team manager, team lead, branch manager that is looking to provide value to their team to grow their branch. Those are a lot of the people we work with, especially with the webinars now. I do think there's a lower barrier to entry when it comes to conversion versus the other things, right?
And anything that you would say, like, is there a minimum? And I tell people, well, at least my suggestion, if you're going to go and buy leads, one, make sure that you've defined the journey from the second that you hear their breath the first time, all the way through their first 6 months after you close them. Like, have that whole journey to find out what that's going to be before you spend $1 to buy a lead. Because if you don't know what you're going to do with the lead when you get it, it's like going to Costco without a refrigerator when you get home and buying a bunch of steak. Like, a lot of it goes bad. So that's the first thing I say. And then I tell people that they need to be committed to do it for at least 9 months. Do you have like a rule of thumb or a time frame or something that, like, what makes a bad client? Is there somebody you tell them, no, you know what, you're not ready to do it yet, outside of just being new, maybe not a lot of money?
I mean, there's a couple things, right? There's being new, the wrong mindset, the wrong expectation. I think you're right. I mean, 9 months is ideal. 6 months is the minimum. I tell people 9 months would be ideal, right? Like, if you're looking for something that's going to pay you in 30 days, most likely that's not going to happen, right? That's most likely not going to happen from, honestly, any lead source. I mean, one of the things we found is, you know, even building a relationship with a new real estate agent, like, just because they said they're going to send you business, they might not send you business for 90 days, or they might send you a lead that's not ready to buy for 90 days, right? Like, that's the reality of anything that you do. So I see people, and even like managers and stuff like that, they'll be like, hey, we look at these things in 90-day windows. I'm like, 90 days for what? What is 90 days of anything going to prove to you? To me, that means nothing. 90 days is like getting used to something. 90 days is learning how to use a CRM. 90 days is like, hey, I don't even know if my sales calls were good. I don't understand how you could ever look at something in 90-day windows and think that is a long enough time frame to understand if something works. Like, if you're expecting anything to work in 90 days as far as money goes, I think you have the wrong mindset, because that's just not how this works. Every strategy works. I don't care what it is, like, just about every strategy. I don't want to say everything, but just about every strategy works if you create the systems and processes to do it. Calling realtors works. Consumer direct works. I mean, let's look at Rocket. Let's look at Veterans United. Like, all of these models work. I see people doing TikTok. I see people doing Instagram. I see people doing YouTube. Like, all of these things work. Now, is it going to work in 90 days? It might. You might get a viral TikTok in your first 90 days of doing TikToks. Most likely, you're going to suck at video, and you're not going to have anywhere close to a viral video in the first 90 days.
Right.
So, I mean, to me, it's like anybody who says 90 days is like their barometer for like how long it should be. That is insanity.
So anyway, no, I like I said, if you can't expect, one, if they're small, you don't get enough leads just coming through, right? So until you've gotten 100 leads, you really can't even say what's good and what's bad. So you have to just run things long enough to do that. Do you have like a formula? So let's say I was a new loan officer. Let's say I was coming up. Hey, look, I'm looking to get back in the game. I haven't written loans in a while. I've been in the managerial role, right? And I see this a lot, especially as I was launching them to become brokers, like helping people open their own shops. they'd been a regional manager with Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo, they got downsized. They're now back in the loan writing game. They haven't done it in years. And they would come to me and looking for a game plan of how to do that. And they had a little bit of money set aside, right? Maybe even some of them were getting, but they didn't have a ton. They couldn't go out and spend, 10 grand a month to do something. They had a reasonable amount, let's say $2,500 a month. Is there a way that you would structure that? So let's say somebody, I'm just getting back into writing loans. I was someplace else. I just left a big company and I'm now open my own stuff with one of those mega brokers. They're going to charge me $695 per closing. And I need to go out and start generating and closing loans. What playbook would you kind of lay out for, let's say, myself in that scenario?
All right, well, let's take this. All right, so first thing I would do is I would define my actual unique value proposition, right? And I don't mean like, oh, I answer the phone and I whatever, like, work on the weekends and I can pre-approve your people, like I have good rates. Like, what is your actual thing that makes you different? Different is always going to win when it comes to marketing than better, because if you're familiar with the concept of an improvement offer, is what most loan officers are doing is they're trying to create an improvement offer, which means, hey, I'm marginally better at at following up. I'm marginally better at my rates. I'm whatever. Like you're improving the previous person by just a little bit. Whereas like if you come in and you're like, hey, you know what? We have a VIP program where we're going to actually, send you leads. If you were one of our VIP partners that sends us business, like we're actually going to send you, a minimum of 4 deals per year. We also have our lead follow-up guarantee that if you send us a lead, we're going to call that lead 6 times in 4 days. If we don't get a hold of them, we're going to send them back to you and say, hey, like, maybe you want us to keep following up, or what do you want us to do here? We have and it's like having more than just like, I do my job is critical. So I would do that. Define that, really, really spend some time. If you can't think of something, then like you need to figure out a way to bring more value, because let's be honest, everybody has more than they think they have. If you're a former consumer direct person, my opinion, you should start doing in-person seminars on how to convert internet leads. There's probably 100 agents out in your area that are buying leads that probably suck at converting those leads that could use some help. Go help them call those leads. Go show them how to call those leads. Go convert one in front of them. Prove to them it works, right? Like those are ways that you show up and be different and bring value. Like run a AI webinar class on how to use ChatGPT. ChatGPT is a little bit, I think, overused right now just because it's kind of the main one that's been around for the longest time. Maybe it's a different strategy. Maybe it's teaching them how to create an AI avatar. Maybe it's teaching them how to, I don't know, whatever it is that you think you can do that. Maybe you are good at YouTube. Maybe you're good at videos. Maybe you can give them video scripts. Like you need to come up with something that makes you different first. Then my suggestion is go freaking start calling them. Unfortunately, like cold email, cold call is what I would do. I would go add 5 to 10 agents every single day on social media. I would start posting valuable content. I would start engaging with their content. I would slide into their DMs. If they hit me up on social media, if they like my posts, if they comment on my post, hit them up, have a conversation. Not, hey, I'm available this weekend and I can do your pre-approvals, but hey, I saw that your daughter is in soccer. My daughter's in soccer as well. Man, that's so super cool. Like what league is she doing? Like, be a freaking human, right? I think so many times people just want to go straight for the pitch, and I find that is just incredibly weird. Let's be honest. People don't want to be pitched. People don't want to like have you sliding into their DMs telling them that you're available to pre-approve people on the weekend. Like that's not value. That is you being a taker, asking them to basically trust you with their clients and they don't even know you. So that's crazy. So that's what I would do, and then if you have the budget, then I would figure out a way to do some sort of consumer direct marketing, whether that be putting some money towards a video editor to help you create social media posts like TikTok and Reels and stuff like that, whether it be having someone help you do YouTube videos, but with something like YouTube, you're going to have to be consistent for like 6 months or more because that does take a long time to sort of get traction. I would, maybe spend some money on some webinars, depending on your background. I mean, it may not be leads. It may be something else. Maybe, buying, going once a week to a Starbucks and dropping $200 on the tab and just saying, hey, I'll cover the tab for the next $200. Go sit there, have your laptop out, be working. Oh yeah, that person said, whatever. They come over and say, thank you. You're a loan officer, whatever. Like, hey, you know what? That's an opportunity. Oh, hey, you know what? I want to buy a house. So there's a lot of ways you can do things without just being like weird and like asking for stuff without having any sort of value. Like the way I say it is get them onto a Zoom webinar. Not a webinar, sorry. Get them on a Zoom call. Talk to them for 30 minutes. Like, don't go like, oh, I want to have lunch with you. Like, hey, let me talk to you a little bit. I'll show you a couple things, whatever. Like, literally interview them, and just say, hey, like, I'm trying to break into this area. I'm sure I'll come across your deals. I just want to chat, learn a little bit more about what you're looking to do. Like, how can I help you? And I think that's the big thing is people come in and they try to pitch. I think salespeople in general want to pitch from the second they get on a call. And the pitch is like the least important part of a sales conversation. The most important part is understanding who they are, understanding what they want, what are the problems that aren't being solved. Why? Like, if they're on a call with you, chances are their lender's doing something not so good, or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe they're looking for something better, but most likely there's a reason why they're on a call with you. So anyway, that's some basic thoughts.
You hit on a lot of really good things there, right? Different is better than better, right? Which I think is so true, right? Like, people are trying to incrementally, like, oh, my rate's this much better. Or I've worked with some companies that call on credit triggers, and their whole pitch was like, don't you want a better rate? And they're like, no, like, you got to set yourself apart. How do I do something different than the other bozos that are calling me? And that lowers that resistance. It's not like a sales call anymore. We actually have something, anybody that's listening to this that doesn't follow us, I have something inside of my thing called the riches and the niches. It's a whole entire blueprint that walks through exactly everything that Luke talked about there. And a niche, when I think of like selling the niches, it's not the DSCR program. It's when I talk about riches and niches, it's everything that's a niche product that makes you. If you're 87 years old and run marathons still, your niche is that you're 87 years old and run marathons still, and everybody younger than you, not only can you talk to them about a mortgage, but you can give them fitness advice to be able to run marathons at 87. Way more people will be into running marathons at 87 than they will be about that your rate's $8 better and you can provide a lender credit. Like, nobody gives a shit about that. So like, your niche is 87 and run marathons. And it just walks through exactly how do you do that. So it's a whole blueprint. I give it away for free. It's out there, but apply it to your unique thing. And then I have a belief today that you don't even have to cold call people anymore. Cold calling is no longer required. You can still do it, but like Luke had said, you slide in. Once I've liked somebody's post on social media, go and follow anybody on social media, like their next 25 posts, and call them. And odds are, if it's not like it's not Donald Trump or like some Gary V, like, odds are that if it's a small local agent and you like 25 of their posts and commented 15 times, that's not a cold call. They actually know who you are. You've given them little dopamine hits 22 of the 25 times. So you can warm up people and get them to where when you call, they'll be far more receptive to talk to you if you're not a creep trying to call them to get, their next pre-qualification. So I think
that's what the caveat of don't do 25 likes in one day or even 5 likes. Like, don't be weird. Like, and we see that all the time too. Is like someone will come in and they'll like 10 posts. I'm like, all right, what's the over under that they're about to slide into my DM and pitch me something? Almost like 99% of the time, people that come through and hit 10 or 5 or whatever, they hit 3 or 4 or they comment a couple times, they're going to be creeps. So don't do that. Don't be weirdo.
Yeah, I tell people every week, add 10 people. So if you think about it as a flywheel, add 10 people. If you're doing it on LinkedIn, there's a little notification button there on the top. Maybe you go through like a couple posts on day one. So you're not super creepy. You're letting them know, hey, I'm out here. I think you're cool. But then get the notification button. Don't like everyone. and give it like 2 weeks before you go in and do anything big.
Right.
Right. You don't ask the girl to homecoming. You know, the first time you meet her, you got to like flirt with her in the lunchroom, walk by her in the hallway. You know, you need that awkward stuff. So I think that's a great thing. Now, if we get to this and you are going to run ads, let's say you were going to do that, and we just got a couple of minutes here. What would be the one place that you would start with running of ads? What would it look like? Would, you know, people just say, should I run Google? Should I do, you know, pay-per-click? Should I Facebook? What do you think about that? Should I run Instagram ads? Where's the one place that you would and I know it's very nuanced based on what you want as a result. But if I had a limited budget, let's say I just had a couple grand to spend, I'm new in the game and I'm just trying to get lead flow. I'm trying to get at bats. I want eyeballs on my stuff. What would you recommend?
So I would leverage, most likely. I mean, it depends on the budget and stuff like that, but something like Google PPC is going to be fairly expensive. You're probably going to want to have a couple of grand a month to spend on that for it to really make a ton of sense. What I would probably do is I would run some sort of a hero angle, veterans, healthcare professionals, first responders. I would run probably like a $500 a month budget directly to those, and then I would essentially set aside like $2 to $3, maybe $5 a day to then retarget every single one of those people. I call that like our direct authority strategy, which is basically you want to create the intent or the audience on the front end that's interested in the thing you do, which is purchase or refinance. And then on the back end of that, anybody who likes the page, anybody who engages on the post, anybody who clicks on it, anybody who becomes a lead, all those people are now going to get dripped with content, right? And when I mean content, I don't mean like super salesy content. I mean like, you know, telling a story of a client you helped. I'm talking about like, hey, you know, whatever, like you love this local restaurant, right? Like that type of content, but also some thought leader content, some informational content, right? You don't need 20% to buy a home, like, but we want it to look organic. We want it to look like it's a natural thing in their feed. And then all of a sudden, 3 to 6 months down the road, you have an audience of people. Let's say you have 50,000 people who have seen your ads over the last 6 months. Now those people start to call you. Now those people are like, oh man, I've been seeing your ads everywhere. Especially if you're super local and you're doing that in a small audience, that turns into a big opportunity for you to build a brand at a pretty small budget. Now, the other thing you could do with that as a loan officer is, hey, you know what? Like we have a loan officer in Sacramento. They found an agent group that was already running ads, but they were running like homes list and listing ads, right? Which are, if you've run ads before, those are going to be very low quality, low intent, low conversion leads, but they're very, very cheap. And so if they run those and you come in and you're like, hey, I'll help you run some, I'll spend my own money. They already have an ISA team. They already have someone in place to follow up with these leads. Hey, we'll generate some leads for you. Guess what? Now all of a sudden he's getting their leads, getting their referrals, because he's giving them value, spending the money. Now, again, I'm not a huge advocate of only doing that because then you kind of get tied to one person. But that is an opportunity for you to get your foot in the door with someone that's maybe a little bit bigger, right? That has a team, that has an ISA, that's maybe got 4 or 5 people on the team that are producing 10, 15, 20, $30 million a year. That's a good opportunity. And that way you're actually controlling that versus like, hey, I'll pay, $1,000 a month towards your ad spend on Zillow. And as soon as that's gone, we're gone type of thing. Right. So that's what I would say is like the best way to do it. I mean, again, if you have a limited budget, you're just getting started. But again, I would say like one big thing, like one of our loan officers, Cole, who we just did an interview today on the webinar stuff is he did this with the team in North Carolina. He had a team out there where he had been working with them for 2 years, right? Trying to get in there. And in that 2 years, I think he'd gotten one deal from them. He was able to run ads for like a month and a half. He generated 4 deals that he referred to them. Now, what's interesting about this story is those 4 deals, 2 of them were cash buyers, so he didn't get paid on those. And 2 of those ended up going new construction. So he got 4 deals that he referred to that team. 0 of those closed, those initial ones closed. But since that day, like June of last year, he's gotten like $6 or $7 million in referrals that have closed from that team, right? So you might think of this as like, oh man, I spent this money, I got $0 out of this ad spend. Or you can see it as like, oh man, I basically gave these deals to these people. Now they send me all of their business, and it's turned into over 100 grand in income because I invested this money and invested into their business. Right? Like, some people might say, well, I didn't make any money off that. It's like, no, you leveraged those leads and those opportunities into a relationship that has turned into over $100,000 in income in less than a year. So I don't know, man. I think that's the big piece there that people miss out when they do stuff like consumer direct. Your leverage is what it's all about.
Wow, that, and often you have to look at that when you give somebody a referral. You have to do that without the expectation of anything in return.
Sure.
And too many people, right? They want it's a tick for tack that they want to get something
100%.
right away. Now, if you give to somebody and you never get anything back, well, those are the relationships that you need to downsize. And if you don't have,
sure.
Like, I'm not a big fan of firing an agent, but I'm definitely a pretty big fan of putting one on the back burner. Meaning, right?
Yeah,
like
I agree with that.
Don't burn the bridge. You're just no longer like, hey, you don't send me enough business to continue this thing. And you give them the takeaway. And if something changes, awesome. I think that's really cool. Now, just for you, if somebody is looking for help, somebody's in a position, they want to run some ads, they want to do some stuff, what's the best way for somebody to reach out to you and I know that you very freely give your time. You've got a lot inside of Facebook groups. You're constantly helping people. You're giving, often with no expectation in return. Let's say somebody does want to check you out. They want to sniff around, see what you're all about before maybe moving forward. What's the best way for them to do that?
I mean, so we have obviously you can go to our website, loansondemand.io. That doesn't have a ton of information. We have a podcast. I haven't actually done it in probably about a year, so it has taken a hiatus, but there's 130 episodes you can listen to. I have put out some YouTube stuff. Again, it's been something I haven't done in a bit, but you can find me on Facebook. That's kind of my main platform where I put content out. We have a Facebook group. We do free webinars from time to time, trainings on different topics. So there's a lot of places you can find us, but I mean, if you go, find me on Facebook, it's probably the main platform. Starting to do some LinkedIn stuff as well. I did a lot LinkedIn, and then I kind of fell off over the last couple of years. But yeah, I mean, there's really almost anywhere online you can find me. And I don't know that you'll find any negative information about me anywhere online. If you do, let me know, because I'll go, I don't know, I'll go fight that person.
Yeah, no, go fist.
We try to have a pretty good reputation.
Fist fight them, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And is it just a Loans on Demand? Look, there's a Facebook page. Isn't there a Facebook group for Loans on Demand?
Yeah, we have a Facebook page. We have a Facebook group as well. It's now called, I just changed the name to AI Sales and Marketing for Loan Officers and Realtors.
Got it.
So we talk about AI a lot. We talk about marketing, sales, ChatGPT, AI. I mean, all kinds of stuff. Good stuff. I'm constantly putting out, little posts and stuff like that on tutorials around using AI tools and using marketing tools and webinars. And, right now I'm giving out like a webinar cheat sheet on my social media. So, you get little goodies that go out there and, get on our email list as well. I send a lot of that stuff out via email as well.
Yeah. And based on what I know, Luke is the king of lead magnets. A lot of time, right? There are a lot of lead magnets coming out there. Good little tidbits, little things that come back to you, email this and you'll get this ChatGPT prompt. And if you don't
exactly.
If you don't understand those things, right, it's super useful. I see it all over the place. I see what you're doing, and definitely able to help people. And if anybody's looking for stuff from me, we run a free community where we kind of have a couple of just premises inside of there. One of my big premises is I want to give you the most VPM, that's value per minute. So we try to do quick little 1 to 5 minute quick hitters inside of our group to just bring you something you can use. 50% of it may suck and may not matter at all to you. My goal is actually for you to use 1 out of every 8 pieces of content that I put out. It actually applies to you. So it's not for everybody, but there is something in there for everybody. It's just not every single piece. And then we've got a bunch of different things we're doing. And I'm pretty passionate about seeing, as is Luke, just seeing people do well, grow their business, and excel. And from there, you level up, you continue to level up your problems and things get better. So one last thing for you here, anything you're really excited about, you want to share, anything out there that's got you fired up?
Man, the two things that are most exciting to me is this webinar strategy. We did talk about that quite a bit today, so I'll stick to the AI side of things. AI is an incredible tool that I think people are underutilizing right now. We are going to be dropping an AI community here within the next, I don't know, probably next month or so. We have a whole course outlined. It's going to be like a real low ticket, monthly sort of thing, a little community. So that's what I'm really excited about. A lot of cool opportunities there to implement AI into your workflow, to make your life easier, to make you stand out. So going to be some fun stuff there. Really practical stuff. I think a lot of these AI sort of like influencer people tend to kind of give this sort of like fluffy information about how to use it, and it's like, no, like we want it to be practical. Like, what can you actually do to grow your business, to use it for marketing, to implement it into your workflows, make you more efficient, in your actual business, versus like, oh, hey, I can create a haiku, right? Like
Right.
how some of these are. So
Yeah, I think that the how to actually, there's so many ideas and so many things floating around. I don't think that many people out there have a lack of potential opportunities to do things. I think there's a lot
Right.
less people that are actually telling you, here's exactly what to do, how to do it. And most people that I work with, they're trying to do too many things. You need
Yep.
you can only do a handful of things at most. Do that handful of things really well. There's not a shortage of leads. There's plenty. There's just a lot of leads that maybe you can't convert profitably, but there are a ton out there. Put in systems in place, make sure that you have the skill, the system, and some way to sell it. And there is plenty of business to go around. And the Rocket Mortgages of the world cannot compete against you if you're being an individual and a real human being.
I agree with that. I think there's too much opportunity for the average loan officer, the good loan officers out there to miss out on. Yeah, we'll stop there because we've gone long.
Well, hey, I appreciate the time. Thank you very much. You guys check them out. Thank you all. Any questions for me, reach out, find Luke, and that's
you.
it. Have a great day. Sell well. If you're still here and you're watching this, you're probably getting something from our content. If so, maybe you know, or I'm sure you know, someone else that could also benefit. So if you could do us a solid, forward this, share it with your friends, other people that are like-minded that want help with simple solutions to grow their business. And if you want to do a little bit of a deeper dive someplace on here, there is a place to schedule a call with us to talk about your business and how we can grow it together. Look forward to hearing from you. Again, thank you for being here. Please do share.